And we're live, so you can start.
Good evening. Welcome to my presentation about Nearpod. I'm glad that these lovely ladies have joined me tonight for this presentation. I am going to tell you about the app called Nearpod, and this app can be used on iPods, iPhones, iPads, or Droid devices, including tablets and cell phones. I think Laura, one of our presentation mates, is going to follow me along on Nearpod. So to get started, I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about it. I'm going to actually go to a screen share. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes, you're
So,
good.
all right, so this is Nearpod, and this is a presentation that I've made, so I'm going to select it, and this is actually the layout. And to launch it, I click on it, and I'm just going to go live. So this is the opening screen of Nearpod, and what Nearpod is, it's a one-to-one presentation software. Now, how this works is each person, you can do it on the handheld devices or your computer screen, but they would either log on to nearpod.com or open the app on their device, and they would enter this code. So as you can see, the code is TSEWU, and you just join this session. And so after everyone joins, you would hit close, and it takes you to the presentation. So everybody on the devices will be able to see the same presentation, except I'm going to control it from this computer tonight, but I also have it running on my tablet. So this is the home screen of Nearpod. You can see the logo, the app's very similar. And we have two students logged in, student 1 and student 2. You'll be able to track the data because normally a student would put their name, and you'll get to see what they're getting to do. And so here's my first slide. And it says put my name in. All right. Very good. So some of the research I've done described it as a teacher-to-student synchronous screen platform, or PowerPoint on steroids. But all those fancy words is just saying that it's a one-to-one presentation tool. So you don't need a projector. Many times when we're doing our PowerPoint presentations, you would have the big, the presentation on the front of the room, but there's a lot of distractions for the students. They're not actually connected to it. And in my room, I have a computer lab. So the students are very distracted by wanting to, open their Facebook or do something on the computers instead of paying attention to what I want them to pay attention. So this is going to be a tool, I think, that will help me gain their attention and also makes it interactive. So as I said before, you can use Nearpod pretty much on any device. The Google Play has the app as well as the Apple Store, and the app is free. There are upgrades to the account that you can use, which I can show you later, including Nearpod Homework and also some other features that you can get if you get the full version. But for the most part, you can do everything you need to with the free version. So content is shared in real time with Nearpod Live. So as you can see, you're following along with my presentation, not only on the screen share for the Google Hangouts, but on your devices. I'm controlling the presentation, and it's real time. When I switch it, they switch on the devices. With Nearpod Homework, you can actually take the presentation home. At the end, I'm given the option to actually email the presentation. So if students need to look over it, or if you want to have them do a quiz at the end at home, or if you want to have a, the flipped classroom is the thing right now. This is one good way you could have a flipped classroom. Now the homework is really basically on the paid version, but with the free trial, I also get Google, the Nearpod Homework as well. So what can you do with Nearpod? Well, there's lots of things you can do. You can add photos, links to websites. You can add video, including YouTube links. You can include polls, which I'm going to show you in a second. You can add quizzes and question and answers. And there's also a whiteboard function that allows you to draw on the screen. So if you put up a picture up there and you want them to do a diagram on the picture, naming the parts of a frog or something like that. That would just be included in this Nearpod app. Or you can do a blank whiteboard, and they could just solve a math problem while you're sitting there. And it does record that data on the whiteboard or the polls or the quizzes, and you can access that in the reports at the end. So this is a video that I've included, and I'm actually going to see if it will play. Let's see here. Play my video. We'll just do it that way. How about that? And I'm going to fast forward through this because it's probably pretty redundant, and I'm just going to go to about right there.
Next, we're going to add a short poll to find out what the class likes for their ice cream. So we'll click on Add, and then we'll select Poll. First, you'll want to.
Can you hear this?
The question.
Yes.
Okay.
And anytime you see this gear option here, there are different settings that you can choose from. Something that's particularly handy is the ability to add a reference image. So if you wanted to find out if the class knew a landmark or a word or anything like that, you can add a picture and quiz them on that. You can also let them select more than one option as well. Here we'll add our answers.
Who actually eats?
Our answer, we'll just click Add Answer.
Who actually eats pistachio ice cream? Come on.
And if you'd like to have a fill in the blank option, simply add an answer and click on the gear next to it. And you can say this answer option will be blank and participants will type in their answer. And another nice feature is that you can actually require students to write a paragraph of text. And this option right here, this answer requires more than one line of text is what you would choose. And when finished, you'll hit the Save button. And your slide will be created here. Now I want to make sure that my polls come after my introductory slide. So I'm just going to simply click and drag to move it around. Next, I'd like to show you how to add a video. Now one thing to bear in mind with the video files, they do have to be videos that live on the computer. So you can create a video using Camtasia or any other type of program. Or if you'd like to, you can download a video from somewhere like YouTube. There's a great website called ITED that will let you download a YouTube video. Bear in mind that you'll want to give that creator credit, but this is an option for embedding videos into your presentation. So we'll click on Add, scroll down to Video, and choose Find the File on your computer. And I'll choose this video here.
So as you can see, there's a lot of tools on there that you can use. Now, here's our poll. So we're talking about how much time do you spend redirecting students to your content. And I do think that that is one of the main features that Nearpod is beneficial. So if you are participating, go ahead and make your selection. So for example, I'm going to hit 5 minutes. Okay, and under Male it popped up as B because that's me. And you can see how many students are participating. You can see which ones are not participating. And you can call them on it because you don't have to move on until they're done. Or if you're doing a bigger group, then you can decide, okay, well, 75% is completed, and then you're done. Now with the free version, you can do up to 30 users at a time. I think that was a question we had before, is how many people can do this at once? And it's up to 30 users. And of course, nowadays classes are sometimes larger than 30, but hopefully your classes are not. All right, so here are what you can actually do to navigate around Nearpod. Your library, or my library, is where all your documents are stored, your presentations. The store is where you can actually access other people's Nearpods. And I'm going to show you an example of some of the stuff that is there. Join is just your login. Create is where you actually make your new presentations. And then there's reports, where you can access your data. You can also print that data off in PDF form or in Excel form, spreadsheet form, so that you can have a document. One thing good about the quizzes and the polls is that allows for formative assessments. And these days, you know, keeping track of what the kids know and how many kids are with you and on that data, you know, with that data is really important. It's going to go into teacher evaluations. How do you document that you know your students are getting the knowledge they need? And this is one good way to do that. Now, this is an example of some of the choices on the store for Nearpod. As you can see, it has everything from Macbeth, which would be a high school presentation, Romeo and Juliet. This is a Time Kids magazine. There's social studies 7 through 12. There's hundreds of presentations. Now, they're not all free. Some of them are 99 cents, and some of them are $2.99. But if they actually have the knowledge you want, $2.99 may not be so bad to save you time. Now here's an example of the Reports tab. You can look on that and see. This is just something from a previous thing. You can see Laura took it and she was 100% participation. And here's your draw it. It would have information there, open-ended questions, your polls and quizzes. So you actually would have that information, and you can see the download at the top. So, why Nearpod? Well, it's user-friendly. You can see how easy she set up a video in that Nearpod, or how she installed a poll in that video that I showed you. It's easy navigation through the presentation. It holds the student's attention, and it's a formative assessment tool. It replaces the clickers. My husband is a 7th grade science teacher, and he uses clickers in his classroom. Well, this would be comparable. Since I don't have a set of clickers, I can kind of use this to replace those. And the one drawback I thought was a drawback originally with Nearpod is that it does not have a lot of bells and whistles on the actual presentation design software. But that's okay, because you're seeing them on a small screen. When I thought about it, I was like, well, if I was looking at this on a phone or on a device, I don't want a bunch of bells and whistles. I don't want it to be tied up with animations and stuff like that. So I think that's why they kept the templates very simple and the design. Now here you can see actually the price point on it. $10 billed annually for a gold member. You can get school sign-ups with 5+ teachers. You can get district sign-ups. I did contact them and looked at it, but I think it would be individual for each school. They did ask about needs-based things, so they might set their rates based on need. All right, so now I'm going to come back to the screen here. Maybe. Come on. There we go. All right, so I think that was my last slide. Do y'all have any questions?
No, you answered all my questions.
I think one question you had asked last night when we were just, planning or whatever, was about privacy. I did not find anything specific about privacy, like keeping your presentation private. However, your data and your names and your student data would be private because it's only accessed through your account. I did sign in with Google, so it's going to be tied to my Gmail, but you can create your own account through Nearpod. I'll try to look back and see if there was a privacy check mark. I never really found that, but I think most of your presentations, it wouldn't really matter if it was private necessarily, as long as you followed good guidelines. I did have one more slide. Let me go back to that just real quick. I just remembered I added that. It's not a big deal really, but so I just went and added some standards here. These are the teacher standards. Of course, Nearpod lets you design and develop digital aid learning experiences. And I just lost it. But design digital aid learning experiences for your students. And model digital age work and learning, and facilitate and inspire student learning. So if you can hold the student's attention in any way, shape, or form so that they can get the knowledge, and possibly by clicking this, I can email it, they can review it later. That's always a good thing. Anything to hold the student attention is a good thing. So I'm going to cut off the presentation again here, if Hangouts will cooperate.
I had a question about the presentations that you have to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an opportunity to view them before you purchase them, or how do you? I guess kind of like Amazon has a look inside this book feature. Is there something similar? Do you know before you shell out money?
I think I was allowed to click through at least a portion of them, if not the whole thing. I can just look really quick if you would like to see that. Let me go back to my screen share. I've enjoyed playing with that. So if I go back to, yes, I want to end that. Come on. Yes. So I'm going to go to the store right here. And let's just see. I mean, I clicked on a couple, like I downloaded one that was a free one. And this turtle says free. So I can click through it. And you can't see everything on it until you actually present it. It looks like. And then this one. Let's see here. I know I clicked on this one. I don't even see where it says the price right now.
Oh, I think it says $2.99.
Yes.
In that little orange box on the bottom.
Oh, okay. That's just below my dock on my computer, so I can't see it. So I can click through this one fairly easily.
Okay.
I can't see all the details, but I think you can get an idea about that.
But that's good.
All right. So I think I covered what you needed to know. And I do plan on using this in my classroom at least, and you can add audio files too. I saw that the other day. I'm going to try to use this in my classroom. I can import my current PowerPoints that I already have. I would save those as PDFs, and I can pop them in here, and then I can add interactive elements to it. So that's how I plan on using it in my classroom. So.
Great. Okay, Michelle.
Okay. All right. Don't start me yet. Am I live? Am I live now? I can't hear you.
Oh, yes. It keeps running.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready.
All right. I am presenting on Comic Master tonight, and I will share my screen and let you see my PowerPoint. A couple of slides from PowerPoint. Oops. Oops. Hold on. There we go. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I lost y'all for a minute. Let me get this. There we go. Okay, I'm going to share a few PowerPoints about Comic Master. And what Comic Master is, it's an online Web 2.0 tool. It's aimed at upper elementary, middle school, and probably some of your 9th and 10th graders will enjoy it also. So let me share the PowerPoint. and talk about it for a few minutes. There we go. Are you seeing that? I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. And everybody should see my opening slide for Comic Master now. Comic Master is a Web 2.0 tool, and it is intended for middle school and elementary, upper elementary, middle school, and younger students. And I'm going to go through the slides just real quickly, and then we're going to look at some examples. It's a creativity tool, and it allows students to create comic books and graphic novels. It aligns with ITED standards 1, 2, 3, and 4 for students, which are creativity and innovation, communication and collaboration, research and information fluency, and critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making. Actually, you can use Comic Master to meet any one of these standards or a combination of all of them. This is an example. This is the home page for Comic Master. And when I click on it, we're going to go to the web and just look at the basics real quick.
It's still stuck on the PowerPoint.
Is it still on the PowerPoint?
Yeah, it actually didn't go through any of the slides. I think when you hit screen share, you need to hit full screen.
Okay, so I need to... All right, well, let's try one more time. Well, what I'll do is go ahead and show you the Comic Master screen. How about that? Let me pull that up. No, what's not working today? It's not giving me a... Now, can you see Comic Master?
Yes.
Okay. This is the website for Comic Master. It is a very simple looking but a very strong tool. In Comic Master, once you go to it, it's just www.comicmaster.org.uk, and it is the Reading Associations in the UK is one of the main sponsors of it. Comic Master has been recognized by the American Association of School Librarians as one of the top web resources for students for teaching and learning. And it looks like I'm stuck on the screen. It's not wanting to cooperate. There we go. Looks like, let's see if I can move this. Now I have multiple screens open. Yeah, I'm sorry, this is not working. Shoot. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Would you like me to do my presentation?
yeah, I think you're going to have to because mine is stuck in some kind of loop. And I've got to figure out how to get it unstuck.
Okay, you can try and troubleshoot while I'll get started on mine.
So sorry.
No problem.
Oh, it worked fine last night. All right, I've got to figure out where my screen is. Let me move it where I can see what you're doing. Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and put on my screen share,
Let me find my Hangouts.
and I'll start mine.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and mute you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Okay, so I chose my presentation to be on ThingLink, which is, let's start this slideshow. Which is a teaching tool that allows you to create interactive images. And the best way to show you what that means is I'm going to show a video so you can see exactly how you can create those interactive images. Okay, so that's basically ThingLink in a nutshell. It starts by choosing a photo that you want to upload. And so you can upload it from a photo that you have saved from your hard drive. It also allows you to import from Facebook or Flickr. And you can also use any URL of a photo, like from Google Images, and upload it. And the one thing that I like about ThingLink is from beginning to end, it's a teaching tool on multiple levels. So, for example, just in choosing the photo that you're going to use, you have the opportunity to have a conversation with students on digital citizenship and what photos to use, how to search for the correct photo. For example, if you're searching in Flickr, to use Creative Commons photos with an attribution license, and not just to choose, any random photo that you would find on the web. So it's all about, teaching fair use with your students. So just from the beginning, you kind of have you have an opportunity to teach other skills, just besides the technology aspect of it. So once you've uploaded your photo, you can then begin to tag it. So you'll notice that on this picture that I've chosen, this is from this is just like a little picture of the solar system, and you'll notice that I have little circles around Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Pluto. And what I've done is I have found information online. I went to NASA's website, and with each circle that you see around the planet, if you were to go to the picture and click on that circle, it would then take you to the URL that I've tagged the image with. So this becomes an exploratory tool for students. You can you tag the picture so that students, when they go and they explore, they click on the link, they can go and they can learn more information that's tied to the image. You also have the opportunity to both use it as a creation tool for yourself or for students. So you could put a blank picture on a website or a blog and then have students tag. So if you wanted to not tag it yourself, you wanted students to find the information, then you have the opportunity to create another teaching opportunity of how to find appropriate resources when you're searching the web, how to find, factual information. And so by putting the picture on a wiki, a blog, or a website, they can go and then they can begin tagging their own content as well. And once you've created the image, this is how you would get it to that wiki or blog. You have the option to embed the code of the image. You can also share the image that you've created. It has all of the social media sites, but it also includes to share the image to Edmodo, which I personally don't know a lot about, but I know that I've heard a lot of teachers talk about this this site extensively. So you do have that option to share it there as well. And so when I was doing my research for ThingLink, School Library Journal had done a review of it, and the person who reviewed it said, for example, if I placed an image of the signing of the Declaration of Independence on my classroom blog, I could ask students to add place marks with information about each individual picture, which is what I was talking about before, having students tag the image. And so that is exactly what I did. I wanted to see if I could recreate what the reviewer from School Library Journal did. And so I found the picture of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and I began to tag it. So if you were to click on one of these stars that you see, it would lead you to different information. So for example, the star that is attached to the actual Declaration of Independence, that would take you to a site that has the entire words for students to read what the Declaration of Independence actually says. And if you were to click on the stars of either Benjamin Franklin or Thomas Jefferson there, it would take you to the History Channel, who's done biographies on them. And so students could watch a video on the life of those two men. And there's plenty of options to use ThingLink for. One of the great things about it is that you could use it pretty much for any subject. I went ahead and I took this map here, and it's kind of faint, but I have little white circles around Malaysia, Libya, and Brazil. And if you were to click on those, they would take you to current events articles that have been written about those places. So this is, you could just take a map and you could have a geography lesson where students could be assigned a country and they have to find information and tag that country with content that they found around the web. Or what I've done here for current events, you saw that I used it for history using the Declaration of Independence, and I used it for science. I had the solar system. There's other ways that you could use it in science too, by taking a picture of a famous scientist and having students tag it with information about what that scientist has accomplished. You could do it for literature by putting an image of a book cover, and having students tag content of the book that they've either found. But not only do they have to tag content around that they found around the web, they also have the option to write in textual information. So if they wanted to just write like a comment on the photo, they have that ability to do that as well. And so just as I was describing how great ThingLink is, because it hits, all of these teaching moments that you can have, it basically meets all of the net standards. Just from the very beginning, the creativity and innovation of it, just from using the image and tagging the content, it's a creative and different tool. You can use it for either a presentation to a classroom, You let students explore on their own, or what we see in the second one, the communication and collaboration. You can use it as a collaboration tool by putting the picture on, the wiki or the website, and having them tag the content as well. And in order to tag the content, they would need to be fluent in standard number 3, all of those, the research and information fluency on how to find, the appropriate content, how to find, factual, sound resources on the web. And in order to do that, number 4, the critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making skills leads right into that. And then I talked about digital citizenship, choosing the right photo, making sure that what you are using is appropriate to use and that you're giving the right attribution. And then, of course, number 6 is obvious, the technology operations and concepts. They need to know how to operate both, the computer, how to get around the web, and how to be able to, use ThingLink in itself. So with that, that's pretty much everything there is to know about ThingLink. If anybody has any questions, I'll come back around and unmute your microphones if you have. Take it off of screen share.
So you mentioned that it's pretty user-friendly. So, I mean, what kind of grade levels do you think could actually use this?
That's a good question. I would say probably you could start it off. It would be geared towards middle school and high school, but probably you could start it as early as 4th grade. I'm not a teacher, so I'm not in the classroom, so it's a little difficult for me to pinpoint exactly what age. But based on what I've seen in the library, the usage level of students, I would say they could probably start at about a 4th grade level. It would have to be very simplistic. You wouldn't want them doing really extensive research at 4th grade, but very simple, like the solar system. You could start it off as using it as the exploratory tool with the solar system, where instead of having them tag the content, you would already have the content tagged for them, and they would just see the image and they could click on the little dots to find out more information. And then as they get older, they would begin tagging the content themselves.
I do think it would be such a versatile tool for any subject, anything from music to art to pretty much you did the science, social studies, language arts. I think it looks very, very versatile.
It is. Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out a way to use it for math, but I'm sure there's a way.
You can connect it to a Khan Academy video or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or even with geometry, with shapes and things like that.
Yes.
They could find a way to maybe identify shapes. If the kids were doing it, or if you did it, it was kind of a game. They had to pick the right shape, the right picture in the screen.
Yeah. Those are great ideas. Any other questions?
I think it's a great tool. I can't wait to try to use it.
I want to share it with my other teachers at my school.
Yeah.
Because it would be it just seems very practical.
I'm going to share it with the media specialists. I think some of them would take it and make scavenger hunts for the library with it.
Yes. In another class, we had to write lesson plans as a media specialist, and I wrote a lesson plan where I used ThingLink, and that's exactly how I used it as a scavenger hunt.
I think it's a great idea.
All right, so that concludes my presentation. Did you want to try again, Michelle?
I do. I don't know. I'm using a Mac, and I've used it all summer, but I think I just freaked out there for a minute when all the screens just went away. You've got a Mac. I'm not a Mac person. That's my problem, but I would like to try it again.
Okay. Go for it. I'm going to go ahead and mute our microphones.
All righty. Well, good evening. Tonight I'm going to talk about Comic Master, and Comic Master is a really cool 2.0 web tool. The first thing I'm going to do is share my screen. I have just a few slides, and then we'll actually look at it. So let's see. Here we go. Let's see. And I'm going to just show it full screen. If I try to show it too big, then I'm afraid it will take away. So we'll just look at it like this. I think that was the problem a minute ago. So Comic Master is a Web 2.0 tool that can inspire creativity and originality. I've been interested in comic books and graphic novels in schools for quite a while now. I've worked in a high school and a middle school for the last 15 years. I worked in the middle school for 5 and the high school for 10. And one of the things in the last 10 years that's become very, very popular, especially with boys, are graphic novels and comic books. And in the very beginning, people were not interested. They didn't feel like they were true literature. But in the last 3 or 4 years, they really have come around. In fact, a lot of the book vendors are now creating historical books using the graphic novel format. So they're not just for fiction and fun reading anymore. Now you've even got historical books. So that's one of the reasons I decided to look up some of the different websites and look at comic books and comic strip creators to find a tool. And whenever I was doing my research, I found an American Association of School Library had an entire periodical that was dedicated to graphic novels in schools. And this Comic Master Web 2.0 tool was selected as one of the American Association of School Libraries' top 10 websites for teaching and learning. So that really got me interested in this particular one. And there are a lot of parts of it that make it excellent. It is online, and it's a graphic novel creation, comic book and graphic novel creation tool, as I stated. But what makes it cool is the kids can create their own stories. They don't have to stick to a specific storyline. And it does hit all of the ISTE standards. It hits the creativity and innovation, communication and collaboration, research and information fluency, and critical thinking and problem solving. Creativity and innovation can come in when the students create their own stories, and communication and collaboration can come in when you have groups of students working together to create a story or to meet an objective. And then what's great about Comic Master also is whenever you give them assignment, you can make the assignment so they have to actually go find research before they create their project, and that'll help them with the information fluency. And then critical thinking and problem solving, if they're working in groups and you give them a problem, for instance, we're going to look at an example in just a few minutes of a product that some students use Comic Master to talk about drunk driving, and how and they use the Comic Master to tell a story about drunk driving and the dangers of it. So it can help them in all areas. Now right now this is the screenshot, and I am going to click in the, it's probably not going to let me go. I'm going to have to share my screen again. I'm going to share a different screen in just a minute, and we'll actually look at the program. So let's change, and let me take you to the website. Okay, this is the Comic Master website. That their URL is very simple. It's just www.comicmaster.org.uk, and this is the screen that you'll come up to. It's very basic. If you look at it, it's got educational resources on the left-hand side. And if we click on that, yesterday it was down, and let's see if it's up today. It has all kind of resources, and you can see all the different areas. They've got some things about sport and me, music, graphics, and if we click on, for instance, the one that's graphics for me, you can see that it actually gives you lesson plans to use, and it gives them starting, they go in a sequence. So if we looked at lesson plan number 1 right here, it'll take it just a second to load. And this one is graphics and me. And all this is free. That's what's so amazing. I didn't mention that yet, but all this is free. And here is a lesson. It talks about prior to teaching your lesson, the warm-up, the activating your prior knowledge and discussion. What does assessment look like? And I won't read it, but you can see that there's a lot of information in this to use with comic books and comic strip creators. And all this is, I didn't mention, all of this is supported through Reading for Life, and that's in the UK. This is one of their main outputs. So I'm going to go back now and back up to the Comic Master. And so we can just look at it for just a minute. Whenever you finish reading, excuse me, let me go through this rest of the screen. The educational resources, then it tells you right here it's supported by Reading for Life. And then just a little fun side note for the kids when they're working. There's up in the upper right hand corner, there's a little music box, and they can click on it while they're working and listen to music. And I thought that was pretty cool. So if we look at the basic components of it, you can see it starts you off with your layout. You can do one section at a time, or you can click through the pages, and you can go ahead and set up a whole page. I must have missed it. And as you can see, it's pretty much a drag and drop utility. There's not a big learning curve, and when you're done, you just click done. And then that was the background. Then you go ahead and select your character art. And if I select this young lady, she's going to be my character. But actually, before I do, I'm going to go back to the main menu, because what I really need to do is my backgrounds. Now, one of the drawbacks to this particular program is that there are limited backgrounds. There's not a whole lot. But the kids don't seem to care about that. They everything I've read, it's either gotten 4 or 5 stars as far as the kids using it and enjoying it, and the teachers having good success with it in their classroom. So they just take it and just do their own thing. You can see how fast, if I was a student using this a lot, they would already know what they wanted. So there I have some backgrounds set up, and then I can go to the main menu, and you've got your things like speech bubbles. You've got thought caption boxes, and it's simple drag and drop, and then you can go back in and type your own text in there. Or if you wanted to do speech bubbles, you drag one of those over there. And you can see how it's really kind of fun once you get into it. Then there are even things like the special effects. You can drag that and drop it in there. And you click on more, and it gives you more options. Let me put a character in there real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I want to talk more about how this can be used in the classroom. But you can see, even me being a novice, I'm able to get it together pretty fast. And if you look right down the center of your screen, you'll see that they can save their work, they can add new pages, they can delete, they can increase it to full page, they can move things. There's a printer option. There's their text, their larger magnification or reduction. There's their edit the text, and you just click where you want, and then you can start editing your text. They're not required to have a login to use it, but they do need a login if they want to save it and either come back and edit it later or save it for later. It can be saved as a PDF so that it can be actually emailed or printed out. Now, some of the other things you can do with Comic Book Master is write stories. You can have the kids write stories using vocabulary words, and this is a great way to have them do something fun for vocabulary instead of just writing a sentence with the vocabulary word. If you've ever worked in elementary schools, that's one of the favorite pastimes, have the students use the words in a sentence. Well, why not let them create a comic book, maybe with 10 if they're 20 words. They can also retell stories. They can also write their own stories and use figurative language, use some of these things like the boom and all the extra things that it has to make their stories a little more interesting. They can even take it into science and do experiments. There's a lot of examples. The website's just full of examples. And with the Common Core right now, it really meets a lot of the Common Core in the language arts, the anchor standards for writing. Common Core has so many standards that are around research and writing across all the curriculum areas. And so as far as language goes, this is a great way for them to develop storytelling, the beginning, the middle, and the end. And also for your younger kids, just sequencing their stories. That's an important skill for them to learn, and how to organize information. You know, it's amazing what you can do with a comic book program. Even as simple as this, it really can. They can take it and make it their own. And I'm going to show you the example I was talking about earlier of the one that's already completed. And this one was completed by some students, and it was posted online. And it starts at the top, and you can see it's about drunk driving. And they used the characters, even though the characters are limited, they were able to create their own story. And then once they create a story, you can have them tell their story, and you can do all kinds of discussion activities in the classroom around something like this, you know, bad choices, good choices. What are the laws? If you're teaching them about driving, you know, what are the laws around driving, you know, and simple things like that. This can be taken in, you can just use it in a multitude of ways. So I'm going to minimize this and go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so as you can see, Comic Master is a great product. It's free. Some of the great things about it are that it's free. They can save their work. They can edit their work. They can come back to it. They can share it. Some of the issues where there may be problems are students do have to have an email account. The characters are limited. But other than that, I really didn't find any downside to it. I think it's a great tool for doing digital citizenship, retelling historical events, character analysis. The graphics are clear. They're really good quality graphics. They print out great. And it has even the little fun feature of music. So I think that it's one of the great program to use with students. Does anybody have any questions about it?
This is not really a question, but I do think that 4th and 5th grade boys would love to get their words on a comic book as opposed to on a piece of paper. I know that's about the only thing I can get my son to read are chapter comics these days. So engaging him in some writing and some, like you said, decision making and sequencing and stuff like that would be a great tool for him.
Yeah.
And girls. It's not just a boy thing, but...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, there's just so many ways it can be used. It's not something that there's only one way to use it. It can be used in so many different ways in so many different subjects. There's a lot of information out there about comic books and comic book creators online. But to me, this was the best and the simplest one with the fewest catches. You know, you don't have to have anything special. You just go online and you can just start using it right away. And if you want to save something, you can create an email account.
Did you try out any of the other ones by chance?
I tried out one or two, and they were a little bit more complicated.
Mm.
So I didn't really want to spend a lot of time on them. Since this one came so highly rated, it was rated high here in the United States, and in the UK, it's one of the big ones they support over there. So I just thought it's a good one to start with, and that's my opinion. It's a really good one to start with to get your feet wet, because it's not complicated, and then kind of build up to some of the other comic book and graphic novel creators that take a little bit more time. But I think like you were saying, it would be great for 4th and 5th graders, especially for a simple thing like doing words, vocabulary words. And then then they can build up to creating stories, and then they can build up to even taking stories and putting their own spin on the stories. So it's free, fun, and fast.
We do storyboarding in my classroom because it's a video production classroom.
Right.
And it's very abstract to them to see a blank page with, just trying to get their information on it. So I think this could actually be a good tool for just getting them started to thinking through the process. And then, of course, we can move to the more formal storyboard later. But
and I've done Student Media Festival for years now, and storyboards, anytime they do any kind of media project, we encourage them to use storyboards. It's one of the best ways for them to get a more concrete understanding before they actually put their hands on the technology.
Definitely.
Because once it's just like we've had PowerPoint for how many years. You give somebody a PowerPoint, the first thing they want to do is put all the bells and whistles in there and not the content. We want them to focus on the content first and then the bells and whistles. So that is, if nobody has any other questions, then that's the end of my presentation.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.